Okay, hello, I am back. I am a week later than promised and I have an explanation. I am back home. As you can see, I have completely moved out of my first year halls of residence, which is crazy to say that my first year is over with. I've completed a year at university. I'm so proud of myself and it's been so fun. I really loved it. I talked about that more at length in the last video, so I also have to apologise if you guys can, obviously you can see my hair's going a bit crazy, but I have my fan on. I'm just going to adjust the camera angle there. I'm like sat on the very edge of my bed. But I do have my fan on right now because the United Kingdom has been unbelievably scorching hot the last week or so. It's cooling down now, thank God. We had a thunderstorm the other night that was it was awesome. I was laying down in bed and my bed's right by the windowsill, so I had the curtains open all night and I was just kind of watching it, which was cool. But yeah, I'm fully moved out, which makes it a lot easier for me to make videos, especially because this house, it's home to my family, but because it's like a proper house and not a student house, it's not as loud. It's easier to, the walls aren't as thin, there isn't the constant door slamming, so it's a lot easier to get content filmed here. And also I have everything in one place now. It's not split between my university town and my hometown, so it makes it especially a lot easier to film bookish videos because I have all of my books in one place. I've wanted to make this video for so long. I can't count how many times I've like tried to film this kind of video. And obviously this is the kind of thing that's going to change with time, but I have gone through the painstaking process of choosing my top 10 favourite books that I have read so far ever. I have also put them in order, so we're going to be going down from 10 to 1, and I have them here. And I'm probably going to have to update this video every few years or so because I read a lot. I haven't actually read that much this year. I was going to do like books I've read this year, but I haven't read a lot. I've been kept very busy the start of this year. I'm very much looking forward to getting to hunker down and read more this summer. I've already finally finished Onyx Storm, which I will have to talk about in another video, complete my little Fourth Wing series. But anyhow, I'm gonna do some tarot card related videos like I said I would. I'm gonna do explaining tarot cards for both the standard deck and the Leonard deck I have as well, so I'm gonna do that as a couple of videos. That will probably have to be a couple of parts. I want to do a get ready with me life updates video as well, because you know things are moving for me. So yeah, let's begin. So the 10th book in this list is The Wicked King by Holly Black. This is the second book in the Folk of the Air series. Now, the reason this one's my favourite out of all of them, I have only read the first trilogy and that like side book about Cardan's childhood. I have not read the Stolen Heir or the Prisoner's Throne, mostly because I don't really have much interest in Oka's character. I know that sounds bad, but I don't know. I might read it one day, but you know. The first book, don't get me wrong, was good, but I think you can see an immediate like changing like Holly Black's writing. There's a lot less sort of unnecessary plot points in this book, which makes it like the best book in the series in my opinion, because it twists and it turns and it's always going somewhere, and every plot point is leading up to that ending, which is the most jaw-dropping ending. I think this had me so hooked. I remember I read this during a trip to the Lake District with my family. We read it within the full 5 days we were away, and I think that might be one of the reasons I love it so much, as I do have it attached to that memory of reading it in the Lake District, and that's a really special memory to me, so it might also be a personal bias, but I did really enjoy it. Holly Black's the whole universe of Elfhame is just so magical, and I have never read anything that made me feel like I was a kid reading fairy tales again, but this is what that book did, you know. It's got its whole like it's a political fantasy, and it's world building. You're just immersed. It's so whimsical and fun, and just I love the Folk of the Air series so much. It is definitely one of my favourites. So the next one is one I've talked about many times on this channel, and one you all have probably heard of, but it's Rebecca Yarros's Fourth Wing. I could talk about Fourth Wing for hours and hours and hours. My dad's flying a drone in the garden because he has weird hobbies, and he's currently pointing it in my bedroom window. Anyways, that distracted me, then I just saw this like grey thing. Anyways, no, so Rebecca Yarros is the Empyrean series, specifically the first one, because I picked this up, like, it was on sale, and I was like, oh, you know, I've heard of this, I may as well check it out. I didn't expect to dislike it, but I didn't expect to become so obsessed and immersed with it. I could not put it. The thing is with Rebecca Yarros's books, especially the Empyrean series, is that those last 100-200 pages, you can't put it down, because she'll have this slow, it's interesting, but it's a slow build up, and then suddenly you get to like the last sort of quarter of the book, and it's like plot twist, plot twist, plot twist, bam, someone's dead, this is happening, there's a battle here, and it is so gripping because it's like the endings are so like action-packed, and it builds up to it nicely, so there's like a tension, especially with Fourth Wing and Onyx Storm in particular. Those are definitely my favourites out of the series. Iron Flame, I feel like, was a bit too long for its own good, and I feel like Fourth Wing and Onyx were the perfect sort of sizes, generally. I'm obsessed with, like, the characters. They're so, like, you fall in love with them, really. Not just Violet and Xaden, but the dragons even. Taran is incredibly quick-witted, and Andana, and Riddick. I love Riddick so much, oh my god. And she makes you fall in love with these characters, that when she kills them off, like, you're literally left in tears. Like, all three of these books have left me in tears. It's just such an immersive world, and it's just so good. So, I love those two. The next one is by another familiar author, and this is Alice Oseman, the author of the famous Heartstopper series. She has 3 written books, and in my opinion, I feel like when they announced the Heartstopper movie, I really hoped they were going to do something Solitaire, because I really do not, this is like a complete side rant, I hate the way that Tori Sprigg is sidelined in the Heartstopper show as just Charlie's protective older sister. She is so much more than that. In Solitaire, Tori is a depressed British 16-year-old who is, you know, spends all of her time by herself. She doesn't really like other people. You know, spends all of her time watching movies, going on her blog, you know, and she gets entangled in this like hacker in her school, and it's how like she kind of comes back into herself, sort of, and learns to be a lot less insecure, and sort of battles with her mental health through this whole thing with this hacker. It's so good. It's I think it's one of the most sort of related. I read this when I was 16 as well, and I'd been through some very similar situations to Tori Sprigg throughout high school and my A-levels, so I think I read this at a time in my life where I was very connected to the character. It's very, especially like teenage girls from the United Kingdom, if you grew up being like the quiet one or the weird one, or, you know, not having many friends or struggling socially like I did at that age, you will definitely relate to this. It is very, it's realistic. It's something you could actually believe like has happened to somebody. Like, I could see that. So that was really good. And the next one we have, another quite well-known one, is, I cannot pronounce the name of this author for the life of me, and I'm not even gonna try, I'm sorry. She's awesome, and I really want to read more of her stuff. Actually referenced her in my writing classes. Oh, that's another video I want to do, side rant, is, I still have one of my books from my intro to writing class, and I thought, why not go through it and read some of my pieces and stuff. I'd also like to do another video, like reading my poetry, a more like ASMR style one. I haven't written anything all summer yet. I'm actually in a bit of a slump, but that's a whole other thing. Anyways, My Year of Rest and Relaxation. It's about this. It's set in like the early 2000s in like a really rich area of New York, and there's this like really rich girl who she's lost both her parents. She quits her job, and she has this best friend who she hates, and she decides that she's going to sleep for a full year. So she starts seeing this therapist, and she's so apathetic about everything, and she's so dislikable that she becomes likable, if that makes sense, because she's so she just hates everything, and the way she talks about stuff is so blunt that it's really funny. This book has like quite a few, like the wit is really there, like it's quite good. Getting behind the mentality of someone like that who has this like perfect life but like doesn't want it and doesn't want to know is really interesting. I think the psychology of this book is really interesting, and especially how she interacts with other people, like her best friend who like has an eating disorder, and it's all very, very interesting. So that's a really good, really interesting book. The next one is poetry. It is a collection called The Kids by Hannah Lowe. This is a collection. It's from she's an English teacher in London, and a lot of it is, as the name suggests, the kids. A lot of it is about that experience, and I think it's such like an ordinary experience. Like it's quite like an ordinary life. She's a mum, she teaches in London, but the way she explores these things and the way she explores like the youth culture around London, it's such a particular like feeling, and the way she captures it is just beautiful. She's got this style that is so simple yet effective. Like it's not overcomplicated, it's not full of like crazy metaphors. It is literally just full of small details and like a really smooth flow that you just you pick up on it, and it's really, really beautiful. So this is what I love these publishers, Blood Axe Books. When it comes to poetry, they are the like love of my life, because the way they lay them out is like very easy to read. It's not like clumped together and hard to read. It's like this format of book works the best for poetry, in my opinion. So Hannah Lowe is one of my favourite poets as well, especially modern wise. She's very good. So the next one, we've got another book talk. I hate that term, but another book talk book. This one is actually, people either really love this book or they really hate it, and I can kind of understand why some people wouldn't like it. It's not really my typical thing of what I go for. I don't really read romance as like a standalone genre. When it's like fantasy romance, I can get into it, but it's like a standalone, I don't know, I find it a bit boring personally. But If He Had Been With Me by Laura Norwin absolutely shattered my heart into 55 million pieces. I read this book in a day. This book is, how many pages long is this book? It's like 350 pages-ish. Read it in 24 hours. I remember I was working the day, this is when I used to work, over the summer before I started university, and I spent my whole day reading this book. I went to my shift, came back home about 10, had some food. All I could think about during that shift was, I want to pick up this book again, I want to pick up this book again, I want to finish it. That was all I could think about. I don't know how many mistakes I must have made that night because I was so distracted. But literally, I finished it at about midnight that night and I was sobbing. It is gut-wrenching. It's one of those books where it starts at the end, if that makes sense. It's like, this is how it ends. But wait, how did we get here? Back to the beginning. So you know what happens in the ending. You know the character's gonna pass away. You know from the beginning of the book. But it gives you this false hope that maybe it's wrong, maybe there is hope, and then it just shatters that hope, and it is like the way it gets you emotionally invested in this, just to have this payoff at the end, is insane. So I really, really enjoyed this. It's a cute read. The next one is, of course, the one and only Violet Bent Backwards Over the Grass by the one and only Lana Del Rey. I am very biased here because I am a humongous, like, biggest Lana Del Rey fan there is out there. She is, like, my everything. I love that woman. But not only is, like, I just, look at this cover. It's so pretty. It's got all this really beautiful, like, photography in it as well. And I do have to say, I do agree with the criticism of this book that there's a lot of filler. The poems themselves are really beautiful, but then there are a bunch of these, like, haikus that really just aren't necessary. They don't really do anything. But the poems themselves, I think, they're very, you can tell they're like Lana Del Rey, but they're different to her songwriting style in a way that is still authentic to her, but is still interesting and layered. And the way, both in her songwriting and her poetry, the way Lana is able to, like, express and articulate feelings that, like, I think that's why she connects with young women especially. There are a lot of feelings that we will feel, moods and moments that we can't articulate, that we can't express. Lana has a way of finding little details, little things to create this mood and to articulate that feeling, and it just, you feel so connected and understood. Even though, like, the experiences aren't necessarily universal, you can find somewhere in your life to attach that to, and to think, I felt like that before, that reminds me of when I was in this place, or I was with that person, or when I felt like this. You know, it has a very, like, not necessarily relatable, but it's just, it's beautiful. And there she is. Okay, I'm sorry about that, my brother just walked in. I'm too far into this to give it up, so I hope I cut most of that off. But the next one is another very famous one, Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar. I am massive Sylvia Plath girly. I have this really, really pretty copy of The Bell Jar as well. Again, very similar to Lana Del Rey in the way that Sylvia is just able to articulate. She was, like, in her, like, expression of, you know, what it was like to be a woman in that time, she was also very ahead of her time, because I think while where she was at was quite a specific time and specific experience, she's able to express it in a way that's very not even relatable, but in a way that, you know, you can understand and you can really empathize with, and that, you know, for a lot of us, we felt like some of these feelings before. You know, the fig tree story being an example of that, of not really being satisfied with one life and having so many choices that you just become indecisive and static. And this copy is so pretty. It's, like, fully it's got these, like, charcoal illustrations. It is, like, my prized possession, this thing. It's so pretty. But it's such a gorgeous book. And the next one is Girl Interrupted by Susanna Kaysen. What gets to me about this is, like, it's a fully true story. McLean Hospital was a real place, and every person in this book is real. Susanna Kaysen is a real person who went through all of this stuff in this book, and you read some of it and it's unbelievable. And it captures such a specific setting of, like, how mental health care was dealt with in the 1960s and 70s, which, you know, obviously, but also, like, the specific disorder that Susanna Kaysen has and experiences. What is insane is that borderline personality disorder, we still don't know much about it at all. We still don't really know how to effectively treat it, and how people suffering from it should really be treated. we still don't really know, and that's what's really interesting to me as an account of being someone with a mental health issue, is that all of the issues that the girls suffer within these books, Lisa is, she was like a narcissist. She had like defiant personality disorder or something. He's pointing the drone in here again. There was like anorexia, OCD in a lot of the girls. Many of them had been abused. They had all been through these horrible things, not really very openly discussed, especially not back then. Obviously we are a lot better with it today, but these accounts of these quite taboo, sensitive subjects, I think is a discussion that we really need to get more comfortable with. And I think Kaysen's story is a really good example of how far we've come with mental health care, but also how far left we have to come. At the moment I'm reading a book called Girl in Pieces, which is like a modern Girl Interrupted, essentially, and it really reflects that. And my favourite ever book, I've read this repeated times, is Jeffrey Eugenius's The Virgin Suicides. There's a Sofia Coppola movie about this one. Well, it's such an interesting perspective to take this family that looks like they have this perfect life, you know, in like the 1970s suburban America, this like perfect looking family, and no one really knows what's going on behind closed doors, and suddenly their daughters start dying and no one knows really why. And I think that's so fascinating. And I think the Lisbon girls, I think every teenage girl will relate to one of the Lisbon girls at some point in their life, and I think you can understand them if you read the book from a certain angle. I have my own theories as to why Cecilia Lisbon did what she did, and it's because at points I've felt similar to her. Like she's a bit of an outcast. She's misjudged. But anyways, those are my top 10 favourites. I'm gonna see if I can pick the pile up, because that would make a really cute thumbnail. It's so big, oh my god, it's heavy. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pick these up. These are the books. I'm gonna try. So, I'm gonna have to put these back on the shelves now. But I will try and upload in the next sort of week or so. I'm probably gonna do the tarot card video next, because I really like the idea of that. But it is so good to be back. I hope to upload a lot more during the summer, now that I've got an abundance of time on my hands. I hope to be able to have a more certain schedule. So thank you guys for watching.